Nome por trás da trilogia O Poderoso Chefão e o clássico de guerra Apocalipse Now, o diretor Francis Ford Coppola passou por São Paulo para promover seu novo filme, a superprodução Megalópolis. Eu tive o prazer de conversar com ele, que foi super simpático e falou sobre sua vasta carreira. Confira.
Bom dia.
Bom dia, Mr. Coppola. How are you?
You can call me Francis.
Oh, Francis.
Or
that's
Uncle
nice.
Francis.
Great. I'm Raquel.
Raquel?
Yeah.
Biblical name.
Great, thank you. Well, you have the idea for Megalopolis in the 70s. And besides the right techniques and the money, do you think that somehow you needed another level of maturity to make this movie?
What idea I did have was I was pretty young when I started, and I made a number of films, mostly successfully, I say, of different styles. There was one very classical, that was the two Godfather films, almost like Shakespearean. And then there was one very, very wild and sort of surreal, which was Apocalypse Now. And then there was one very theatrical, like the background I came from, which was one from the heart. And I said, well, I've made all these films, different styles. I wonder as I get older, what I will learn is my style. Maybe my style is something different. And I was thinking of the great Japanese filmmaker Ozu. Are you familiar with Ozu?
Yeah.
He made a lot of high school comedies when he was young. He was making films all his life. But as he got older, he learned what his style was, and he made these beautiful family dramas, Tokyo Story, and very, very simple, and the camera never moved, and they dealt with very normal themes, but he made them profound. They were masterpieces. So I said, oh, maybe I will evolve. I even tried, after I made a film called John Grisham's The Rainmaker, I quit, basically, and I stopped being a professional film director, and ultimately I didn't make films for 14 years, just to experiment and to see what I would learn to do. And it was during that time that I began, when you say I was doing it from the 70s, what I was doing is I was collecting notebooks of things I read that I thought were interesting, or notes on movies I had seen that I found interesting, such as Ozu, or even political cartoons in the newspaper articles, all sorts of. I have 7 notebooks of just these collections. And finally, I read one piece, which was called 12 Against the Gods by a man named Bolitho, that posed the idea of the Catalan conspiracy from Rome. And I thought, oh, wow, that's something I would like to do. I'd like to do a Roman epic, but this story could have happened in New York. So what if I made a film that was like a Roman epic, because I like movies like Spartacus and, about gladiators, or silent movies like Cabiria. There always was a Roman epic every 10 years. So I thought I would like to make a Roman epic, but I want to do it as if it's America as Rome. And that was then the idea that became Megalopolis.
Right. Well, you said that Brazil somehow was also an inspiration for this movie. Can you tell me about that?
Very definitely, because during that time I went to many places where there were projects being built, somewhere in Portland, Oregon, where they said they gave the people a free bus, that anyone in Portland could go anywhere they want on the bus system, and they just didn't have to worry about paying. I thought that was a very utopian idea. And then I went to a development in Arizona by an architect protege of Frank Lloyd Wright called Acrosante. And it's interesting, I said I would go, but I didn't want to go as a celebrity, so I said, I'll go as your cook. And I cooked for them, but I learned a lot about how the city of the future can, by opening up its ceiling at night, let the hot air out and let the cool air, that climate control didn't need power and air conditioning. I learned that. But most impressive was what I heard about a city in Brazil called Curitiba, where the young committee of architects that were meeting to decide how Curitiba would develop, because they felt there would be more people there in the future, one of them became the mayor and started doing these extremely imaginative ideas. His name was Jamie Lerner. He eventually became the governor of Paraná. And this mayor I went there and to see it, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing, his ideas. Because he was the mayor, they were actually doing things and not talking about them. And he felt Curitiba needed a rapid transit system. So instead of borrowing $400 million, of which half would be stolen, he invented a way of doing it with normal buses. But it was like, have you ever seen the bus system in Curitiba?
Not really.
It works.
Yeah.
It's like rapid. It's like the subway, except it didn't cost anything. It cost very little, and so many people started to use it that cars didn't come in the city. And he just declared the cars were illegal in the city, and the city streets of Curitiba became just a wonderful walking place to people to enjoy. And he did many unusual things. So yes, as I come back here to Brazil, I want to go to Curitiba and celebrate whom I think is a great man, Jamie Lerner, for the work he did to make Curitiba like a megalopolis, a city that is there to make people happy rather than to make people sad so they can be sold to. We spend lots of money on advertising to sell people a little happiness, but you can't sell happy people happiness because they're happy. So you have to keep the people unhappy, which is what we do today, so you can sell to them.
Great. Getting back to your first answer, what kind of advice would you give to young people? Like you did that, you try a little bit of everything. Do you think that's a way? What would you say?
Simple advice to young people. Do what you love. You are unique. You are one of when I say you, I mean you, but also all young people. Don't worry about trying to make a living because money is not reliable. There have been times in history where people had millions and millions of dollars, couldn't even buy a loaf of bread or a drink of water. So what is valuable is the things you love. So if you're going to study, don't listen to your parents about you have to be a lawyer or you have to be an accountant or you have to make a living. Do what I told my kids when my daughter asked me, she said, what should I study? I say, do what you love because you'll do it well and it will be valuable.
E esse foi Em Cartaz. Até a próxima semana com mais notícias e novidades do mundo do cinema e do streaming.